So coach has to squeeze this into the beginning because iPhones are so smart that they crop however the hell they feel like it. So it actually cut off the score. So as you'll see, coach was trailing by 65 and a half points, 142.7 to 74.28. So 142 to 74. Welcome in, gang. Coach is fired the fuck up to have you. So bad news out of the way first. Coach picked terribly this week. We ended up going 1-3, but the fact that coach only picked 3 games to begin with should have been a clue that he was a little bit distracted. So what was coach actually cooking up this week? So if you notice, we did not have a fantasy episode last week. Well, what happened? Coach will catch you up. It was a doozy. Okay, so if you remember, the last time we left off, we were having a fierce QB competition between Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, CJ Stroud, and Carson Wentz. They all played phenomenally, but coach decided to only keep one of them. We cut CJ Stroud, Jared Goff, and Carson Wentz, who we all believe in to an extent, right? But Matt Stafford is our man. We can't pass up the Cleveland Rams, right? And Bobby Lane playing for the Cleveland Rams is just too good. But he's actually not typically our starting quarterback anymore. We pick someone up out of free agency who, like, head scratcher that he got dropped. He was going against considered like the top pass defense in the league against quarterbacks. That must have had something to do with it. But dude is a top 5 quarterback. So welcome to the team, Drake May, a UNC product, throwing balls for the Patriots. Very interesting when former Patriots coach Bill Belichick is at UNC coaching, right? So last week, we had a fierce matchup, but we had some serious problems on the roster, right? So we had QB completely solved, tight ends more or less good with Fannin and Kelsey, right? So we didn't have to worry about those. Wide receiver had a lot of potential, and we had 2 guys that were like surefires, but Marvin Harrison had been struggling, and the 2 guys below him, like, we didn't trust at all. So we really had to figure out our receiver depth, and we're like just okay enough at running back with really like no way to improve. So coach was focused on wide receiver. We ended up carrying 7 wide receivers that week. And as a result, long story short, coach made some terrible, terrible moves for that week's game. He made one move that was brilliant. Like nobody else could have the balls to make this move. Coach benched David Montgomery coming off the best performance in fantasy this season of any player, right? Coming off absolute insane performance. He was going up against the Browns, so coach said, I don't give a fuck how good of a running back he is, if he's in the Hall of Fame or not. The Brownies are too damn good, and sure enough, motherfucker scored 1 point. 1 fantasy point after going off. The Browns hold him to 1 point. What do you think of that, right? So we had to go and pick up the Browns defense because coach couldn't risk it. He just couldn't fathom going against them at any point in the season. So we had to drop the Chargers, even though coach thought they were better that week, for points, to go with the Browns just to have the sure thing. Well, sure enough, that was wrong move number 1. We ended up surrendering 6 points, right? So the Chargers scored 9, the Brownies scored 3, right? So we gave up 6 points right there. Another bad move coach made, which this one's pretty justifiable. Marvin Harrison had 2 straight weeks scoring less than 10 points. One of the weeks was less than 5. So coach knew he had a lot of upside, but he just couldn't trust him with, what had been going on. He was going against the number 1 defense against receivers in the league. Well, sure enough, he has like a crazy fourth quarter. Scores like 20 points or something, right? Like 10 points more than the guy we had in there. And the guy we had in there was the starting receiver for the Bills. Keon something, right? But we were going against Josh Allen, so we were trying to kind of siphon some points away from Allen. It worked brilliantly. Through 1 half, we actually had more points on our wide receiver than Josh Allen had. But the rest of the game, after the second half, Josh Allen didn't throw to him a single fucking time, and he had a crazy game. He was throwing touchdowns to everybody. So that cost us big. That was like one of the, so that was like mistake number 2, right? Was, that was mistake number 2. Then another one, God, gosh, what all was it? Coach benched Swift, right? Super bad move. Coach went for the upside. We picked Kareem Hunt off the street. We like him a lot, but he was going against the worst ranked defense in the league against the run with the Ravens. So we decided to give him a shot, even though he splits reps with Pacheco. Well, sure enough, Pacheco ended up scoring the fucking red zone touchdown. Like he got the ball from like 25 yards out and just housed it. So he stole our points from us. And, you know, basically like it was no joke. It was 5 bad moves that Coach made and 1 good play. And all of them combined, and Coach like even said it to himself, like, watch this very last move I make be just the one that breaks the camel's back. Sure enough, like the very last thing I did was just enough to lose the game. It was literally like, it would have been so much harder to lose that game than win it. So Coach was coming off the worst coaching performance in fantasy you could imagine. Sorry, I rambled a little bit, but it needed to be said that Coach absolutely shit the bed last week. So between the Guardians getting eliminated and us being 1-3 in fantasy, Coach wasn't too worried about the weekly picks considering it's week 5. Coach was looking ahead to the playoffs in fantasy and knowing that we should be 2-2, right, heading into this week. But instead we're 1-3 going against an 0-4 team. There's no way Coach could stomach this loss, okay? Right, so Coach, and to make things even worse, okay, DeAndre Swift's on a bye week, and we're super thin at running back, right? Henderson has yet to really do anything, right? So our only legitimate running back is David Montgomery, right? Who shares reps with Gibbs on the Lions, right? There's just too many things Coach did wrong. He was too picky with being hard on Judkins, right, for being suspended. We knew he was going to be great, but we were just kind of playing hardball, right, with the character concerns that blew up in our face. That's one we could have had basically for nothing, right? There's so many. There's a great receiver we could have basically for nothing. You know, not too worried about that. But long story short is, with all that said and done, you know, we haven't been hit with the injury bug whatsoever, whereas you've had players like Joe Burrow, right, the guy we're playing against right now, drafted Joe Burrow in the 3rd round. So his 3rd round pick, complete bust. Right, you know, his starting quarterback, complete bust, right? So we have that edge that Coach drafted really healthy, right? We haven't had anybody that physically can't perform yet. Not a single person that's missed a game because of health, whereas all over the place you're seeing like 3 and 4 guys with injuries on their team, right? So I think that'll pay dividends in the long run. And you'll see right here, right? We were down 142 points to 74. They only gave us a 17% chance to win. His starting running back went for like 32 points. That's like the best in the league. Justin Jefferson, like 20 points. He's got Breece Hall, right? Stafford throwing to Devontae Adams, gave him 14 points. And Njoku had a crazy fucking game with 19. Fannin had a touchdown too, but it was just tight end central with the new guy in, right? And then he's got the Lions defense, went crazy with 12 points. Right, so this is tough, right? We are only 17% to win. The odds fell way lower than this, right? But let's go ahead, skip forward a little bit, okay? You'll see we got, oh shit. So Coach's plan after playing so poorly last week was to have an absolutely perfect performance, not 1 point that could have helped us sitting on the bench or in free agency, et cetera, right? So another big one Coach whiffed on last week. So he picked up Woody Marks for his dad's team. He ended up blowing like 30 points, right, as the running back. So he went crazy for my dad's team, but we just left him sitting for ours, right, and basically went for nothing. And then the absolute killer was not starting Kelsey. We started Fannin, and Fannin not only played terrible, but Dallas Goedert scored 2 touchdowns in free agency, and Coach strongly considered picking him up, right? So it was literally just an absolute disaster of a performance by Coach. So he had to go into this week absolutely not a single move wrong. We wanted to max out, ring every point we possibly could. So you'll see he had a 68-point lead. Here, 68-point lead. We've got Trevion Henderson left to go, who's been slumping, right? And then, the rest of the guys are still, finishing their shit up. So Henderson only ended up going up for, 5 points. That didn't help, right? But I wish I had kept like a better tab of the progression. But take a look at what we were looking at with 8 minutes left to go in the Monday Night Football game, right? So we needed Kelsey to have like 15 or 16 points to win this one for us, because everybody else ended up doing their job. You'll see Egbuka went crazy with 31.3 points, matching Joseph Taylor. Remember, that's a fucking rookie, dude. Coach drafted a rookie wide receiver who most people had going in the 6th to 7th round as his second receiver off the board. And he's been absolutely fucking smoking hot. Now, we also had David Montgomery throw a pass touchdown today, which we love because we have him tossing a bomb to Tom Brady in the playoffs this year. So we love that he still got it, right? Our number one kicker didn't do a whole lot with 5 points. Browns just did okay with 7, right? We could have got a little bit of help there. But all of our skill possession players, except Henderson, remember, we had no alternative to Henderson, pretty much, right? But as you'll see, Kelsey ended up catching like one more, right? So we ended up with 141.68, and then on the next drive at the very, very end, he ended up getting like a tiny bit more, right? So we ended up barely winning this one. I mean, absolutely barely. Like, look at this shit, right? So we went by exactly 3 points. It was closer than that because the very last play, Kelsey caught a ball, ended up going for 19 points, just barely edging out Njoku, right? What did we leave on the bench? 10 points from Hunter, 11 from Fannin. Stafford outplayed May. 10 from Kirk. This is Christian Kirk, one of the guys Coach popped up, of course, because of the Charlie Kirk thing, right? C. Kirk, and he's a Christian. Charlie Kirk is a big Christian. He's also, Coach thinks, going to be a big part of the Texans' offense, right? So we picked him up as our 5th wide receiver. We've still got Travis Hunter as the 4th, right? So our receivers looked good, but we played good with the receivers. Garrett Wilson and Egbuka and Harrison Jr. all scored more than Hunter and Kirk. So zero room for improvement there. Same with May. Same with Kelsey over Fannin. Kareem Hunt went for 18. So that's the coach did make one mistake. Coach should have started Kareem Hunt over Henderson. Okay. Kareem Hunt over Henderson. And that would have given us like another 14 points. So we could end up scoring like 160 this week. That's crazy. Coach is really glad Kareem Hunt bounced back because I was getting worried about that pickup. And then we've got this other guy. This is our 5th string running back, Blake Corum. He didn't do much this week, but Coach believes in him. He's the all-time leading touchdown leader for Michigan. You got to love it, right? And Kareem Hunt, he went to like Bowling Green or something like that. So we're very excited with everybody we got. Now, as far as like any sort of changes like that I would have made, instead of Henderson, Coach would have taken J.K. Dobbins, right? The other Ohio State guy. He's got like way worse injury history. He's torn his Achilles and knees and everything. But Coach doesn't like having 2 guys on the same team, and this guy's still yet to break out, right? So we ended up picking up Drake May, so he's one of our quarterbacks. So that gave us a second Patriot before Henderson was our only Patriot. Now I wish we didn't have him, and we had the Broncos. Dobbins instead give us a little bit more. And with Kelsey and Kareem Hunt both being, on the same team, it kind of makes me wish we could move on from one, but I'm still of the belief that Kelsey might be playing in Cleveland or something before the end of the year. So that would be cool. We just drop Fan at that point, pick Colston Loveland back up, right? So, I mean, as you can see, is this not the greatest fantasy comeback you've ever fucking seen? Coach was down. This dude had 142 points. He lost 2 points somehow that I think Breece Hall fumbled right after I took that screenshot, right? So that fumble cost him 2 points, right? Look at this shit. This dude Coach was playing was 0-4, okay? And last week, the one Coach dropped it to, dude was 1-2, so he was really pissed about that we should have beat him. But now he's ahead of us, right? And there's only 4 teams that make the playoffs out of the 10. So we got to get in the top 40%. Now look around the league, yo. Look at the scoreboard. Look how insane this is. So 2 4-0 teams going against each other. Coach outscored both of them healthily, over 20 points to spare over the winner of that one, right? So we could have beaten both 4-0 teams this week. Malik and his neighbors, right? So Malik tore his ACL. We love that. So that's gonna hurt that dude a little bit. We had a 3-1 team lose to 1-3. That's great. So now he's 3-2. That dude's only one game ahead of us. Honcho, that's the team that beat us last week. We let go to 2-2, so he had a big performance this week. Beat a 3-1 team. That team's gonna be 3-2. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It was actually Franklin that beat us. So Franklin beat the other 0-4 team. Patrick's perfect team. But I mean, seriously, look, Coach scored the most points of any team in the league. Yo, any team in the league. Could you imagine how pissed that 0-4 dude must be that his team scored 140 points and he fucking lost? Did he leave anything on the bench? Waddle going for 23. That killed him. He could have had that instead of Myers. He could have had extra 16 points, would have smoked us.